in this tutorial we are working with brown and teal color grade. So this one's pretty popular because it's pretty hard to achieve those brown tones. There is no slider, say, in Lightroom for affecting or changing brown tones. So it's quite a difficult one to achieve, and that's why so many people ask for it. And yeah, we're working with another great Instagrammer. Let's get over there and check out his Instagram. So as you can see, got those really nice teals, especially in the highlights, and then those nice brownish warm shadows in the shadows there. So giving those nice rich skin tones and then those nice cool highlights. So we're going to achieve that with the split toning. And then as for exposure, there's not a lot going on. There's maybe a few extra shadows there, and just a general S-curve, a little bit of a fade in those darker blacks and shadows, but not too much. So if we come down, we're going to be working with this shot right here. So he has sent this into me, and we're going to be trying to recreate it with the raw original image. So as you can see, nice teals there, and then those dark orange skin tones, and then those brown shadows. So yeah, let's keep looking at his feed. You can see he's not using much grain. He has a really smooth looking image, and yeah, let's just look at a few of his other photos. We can really see the style. So yeah, let's get into Lightroom. We're going to be trying to recreate those real nice oranges as well. And if you guys are interested in the stuff, go give him a follow down in the description. I'll be putting all of his stuff down there, guys. And then you can also come over and check out his blog. So if you click right here, and as you can see, he's got fitness, fashion, travel, food, lifestyle. And if you come down, here's one of his blogs here we might be interested in. And then if we come down, you can see what camera he's using. So he's using Olympus, and then 25mm there on one lens and 14-24, and I don't know what the crop factor would that might be on this camera, if it's probably not full frame, I imagine. So if you're interested in that, come over there, check it out there, and yeah, go check out all of his stuff, guys. Back to his Instagram, and let's get into Lightroom, creating these really nice brown and teal tones. And yeah, we're working with this one. Let's get into it. Here's the image we're going to be working with. So as you can see, like I said before, got to add those brown tones into the shadows there, and then get those nice teals. And we've already got a good job of getting those teals there. So let's get straight into it. And I've actually got a preset that is very similar to the style. It's called brown and teal. As you can see, already gets those tones there, those browns and the shadows especially. So let's just quickly drop the contrast. As you can see, there's just a bit too much brown in the image. That's because the image is too warm. So more highlights, we want to be cool. So let's bring that down. It sort of balances out a bit. There's obviously quite a few more changes I want to do. So we're going to be working with this preset. I'll show you guys all the settings, so don't worry about that. But just showing you guys what I normally would do is add a preset, get really close, and then make tweaks as I go. So start off with a preset, get pretty close. I'll just show you this on a few other images so you just get an idea of the style. So if I just come across, let's chuck it on this one here. Let's hit brown and teal, and as you can see, before, after, pretty strong effect. So if you wanted less of a brown and teal look, you might like it, but think it's just a bit too strong. You want to like add in colors like yellows again, and then that will just, I think that looks really good. So yeah, I think another image that looks really good is maybe this one. Let's chuck brown and teal again. It's a bit too warm. Take that down. And yeah, maybe add the yellows back in, just to make sure there's not too much of that brown tone, and then you could drop the brown in the shadows if you wanted. And yeah, so we'll go back to our other image that we're working with today. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so there's before and after presets. So we've got the tones there. Let's get rid of that grain, and yeah, let's go through all these settings and make adjustments. So as you can see, we've probably got too much in the shadows, so we've just got too much brown in the shadows. You can see that by like looking this area, for example, because though they should be a little more on the yellow side, and we're looking very brown there. So you get the brown tones mainly from putting it in the shadows. So we could drop that a bit. As you can see, now we're almost a blue in the shadows. So I'm just going to drop that to about there. Okay, I might just come up and work with it. Let's just work with some obvious things at the moment. So let's go up to exposure. So working with exposure, let's up the shadows. As you can see, we're a bit dark. We want to go for quite a bright look in this shot here. So let's lift those shadows. Highlights can come up. We're a bit too dark in the highlights. Right, contrast, so we're a bit flat. Let's jump that up. I'm going to scrap this S curve and just do it again, or do a different one, just because you have to be so precise in this S curve for it to work. Well, I'm pretty picky. I want to get really close, so I'm gonna do my own S curve rather than use the presets one. Normal S curve, guys. So I'm going to bring up the blacks just a bit. Okay, so there's just a bit of contrast added in there. Let's keep going with exposure and stuff. So I'm going to drop the clarity quite a bit, because our image, especially when you're working with JPEGs, it can look a little crispy. So dropping the clarity will give that real nice smooth look to the images, and I think that's what we've got going on here. Drop that, vibrance can come back. Let's play around with the whites, can come down. So obviously the whites are affecting areas such as this and back there. It just looks too bright, and yeah, that just takes practice to see that these areas are too bright. Let's drop them down. To about there. Right. Temperature, we can reset that. So at the moment, I'd say we could be a bit too warm. We haven't done our split toning yet, but I'll just reset these. I think that looks a bit better. I think we're a bit more white balanced now. Let's right, so we've got all these here. So what gives the brown tones is like getting rid of your yellows. So we've taken the yellows out a lot, and then you shift the, there will always be a little bit of yellows left in the image, even if you take it out completely, but you want to keep them like an orange, and that sort of just gives a darkish orange is quite close to a brown. So that's sort of where it comes from. It also comes from adding a rich orange into the shadows, and then you got to complement those browns, or say oranges, with a blue on the highlights. So that's what we've got going on. Let's see what we've got to shift. Let's just do a bit more to the split toning. So as you can see, we're looking pretty good, but I think we've got too much brown in the image, and it's not not too much saturation, but it's affecting too much of the shadows. So if you shift the balance, I'm going to introduce much more blues into the shadows. So if you go all the way this way, this is putting blues throughout the entire image. This is default in the middle, so you're separating the shadows and highlights, and then that's the opposite where you're adding the orange into the entire image. But like I said, I think there's just too much brown in most of the image. I'm going to slide it this way, so there's a bit more blues going into those shadows. I think that looks a bit better. You can see, especially in these sheets here, they go a lot closer to white, which is what we want. Because if you wanted to white balance it out, or get close to it, make it look more natural, because we just want a subtle edit. Okay, I think we look good. So now I think we've got too much blue in the highlights. We've introduced a lot more, and now there's too much in the highlights. And so I can see that by looking in areas such as these curtains here. We've got a lot more blue or teal in there, and then over here they got just a little bit in there. So I'm going to drop that a little. I'm going to change this orange a bit closer to a red. I think that just gives the right tone I want. A bit deeper. Okay, carrying on. What else needs changing? I think we're about good up here. The S curve is good. So just showing you the red, green and blue channels. Very simple. The preset just added a very simple S curve, so just bring down the shadows just a touch, highlights up just a touch, and then just keep that line intersecting the midpoint there. It's just going to add a tiny bit of color contrast. And that's all there is for this image. Okay, moving on, let's have a look at HSL. Bit of tweaking we should probably do. So the oranges, he's looking a bit too rich or a bit too dark. We need a bit more of an orange, so let's try shifting this way. So that's going to make it a little more of a yellow. Go with that. We want these nice teals in the background. I think we look a little too teal. We want these teals to be a bit more of a blue or closer to the purple side. So if you look just straight out there or even down in these shadows here, you can see we're way teal. We want to be almost purple or a darker blue over there. So I'm going to play around with the blue first, pull that back. So blues is sort of the deeper blues, and aquas will almost always be the brighter blues. Working with this one. Okay, and then aquas. Let's go. About there. Saturation. Okay, so we need to add in a bit of brightness. So it's kind of affecting our colors as well, but we need a filter here. So I've already placed it, and what I want to do is, so we want to keep it affecting the inside of the circle. I'll just get rid of that. I'll just up the exposure. And then I don't want it too harsh, so I'm gonna drop the whites a little to keep it nice and soft. I think that looks good. Okay, let's keep going. Our saturation we could do with a bit more. Let's bump that up. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, we're pretty close. You could mess around with the skin tones. He's probably gone in and brushed and made skin tones a bit brighter and stuff like that. Maybe a bit more saturation to them. Keep yellows down, but as I said, like if you don't want such a brown looking style, yellows is a pretty good one to bring up. Or make these yellows. You can see how that's very slightly changing the color of the sheets, even though we've got yellow at 100 down there, and the skin tone is changing a little bit, but we'll keep it where it was. Okay, so I'm thinking like we need the blues a bit more saturated, so we could bring them up like that. But I'm also thinking you could drop the luminance maybe. No, I'll bring up saturation. And then I'm just going to bring up the aquas, I think, because if you look at areas like here, this is sort of where the aquas are. It's like the greeny, it's the greeny blue. So I think just a little bit there maybe. And yeah, let's come down. Sharpening can stay pretty low. Okay, so I think this is a really smooth looking image. He's either dropped the clarity a bit, but when you're working with a JPEG like this, and you want to push stuff a lot, I think denoising it is a very good thing, because it just smooths out the entire image, so we don't want to do too much. And then it'll also give you really nice smooth skin. So I'm just gonna bring that up to 15. You can see that it even got rid of a little bit of contrast, but I think it looks nice on this image, and he's got a very smooth looking image, so that's what we'll do. And then let's look at grain. There's hardly any grain, it's hard to see, but I always put grain in, and just a little bit if anything. Just adds a good amount of texture to the entire image, sort of pulls the whole image together. Otherwise I think we're good. Let's just have a quick look at HSL, see if we can tweak anything. I think we're good though. Reds, nah, I'm just gonna leave it there, guys. So if you guys like this one, actually I can see where I want to drop the luminance of the blues here, so I'm going to drop that just down to there. You can just see it's a bit darker on the horizon up there. You might confuse that with being more saturated. I think it's just a bit darker. Okay. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that one, guys. So you guys go follow him down in the description. I'll put all of his stuff down there. Links to his blog and all of that stuff. His Instagram, go follow him down there. Links to all my stuff, guys, down in the description. And yeah, check out the presets if you're really liking these tutorials. There's just been a crazy amount of feedback on those. And yeah, I think we're about done with this image, guys. Comment down below who you guys want to see. So comment people who don't have many followers but have really great images. That way they will send in the image and I'll do a tutorial on them. And yeah, I think that's about it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.